The iPhone SE is one of the most talked about phones of the year, and that's a sentence I didn't see myself saying in 2020. Regardless, this is Apple's budget offering, coming in at $399 or £412. And this is quite a big deal coming from a company that have just released a keyboard case for 300 quid. I've been using the phone for a couple of days now, so let's get straight into the unboxing. Then I'm going to go through some specs and my thoughts. We still get that premium Apple unboxing experience here. I've never had an iPhone 8, but it could be the exact same box, which would definitely keep costs down. After that satisfying peeling off the packaging, we open the box and we have the familiar manuals, the device itself, which we'll come to later, the included wired headphones, and a 5-watt charger that's still using Lightning. Really, Apple? The first time I held the iPhone SE, I was in awe of how small it was, and that's quite surprising considering it's like a 3 to 4 year old design. But honestly, if phones were still this small and housed all the modern features that we used to, I don't think I'd be complaining. In reality though, phones are getting bigger to fit in those big batteries and multi-camera modules, but I do think this phone is going to be proof that people don't need all of that all of the time. It's also quite light, coming in at 148 grams. The only issue with that design is that most of the front is taken up by these enormous bezels, which we're really not used to in 2020 at the moment. The screen comes in at 4.7 inches and is a 750p display, which is technically not full HD, and I'm going to be honest, I thought I'd be disappointed when coming from the Galaxy S20 Plus, which is a full HD screen and can actually go up to 4K. But for a screen this size, I think 750p is enough, and honestly, after using it for a couple of days, I haven't really noticed a drop in quality at all. The only thing I have noticed is while using the Samsung, I've been using the 120Hz display, and on the iPhone we're locked at 60Hz. That lack of 120Hz or 90Hz is the biggest difference in my opinion between some of the latest flagships and the iPhone screen. But I don't think people who would be buying this would have used the phone for a long period of time with 120 or 90 Hz, and so they won't really notice the difference. On the back we have just one camera, and it's a 12 megapixel wide camera. Some thoughts on where this came from. Some people say that iPhone XR, some people say it's the iPhone 8 camera, but because it's old hardware, don't let this fool you into thinking it's a subpar camera. This is still very much an iPhone quality camera. Photos are sharp, dynamic range is excellent, and colours are very true to life. And actually, coming from my Galaxy S20 Plus, I preferred some of the photos from the iPhone just because the colours were a bit more accurate. Sometimes the Samsung would make the sky look blue when it wasn't, or make photos too vibrant. And so I'm going to be going into more detail on this, on a camera comparison between the iPhone SE and the Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus. Obviously it's a $400 phone versus a $1,000 phone, but I think you'll be surprised at the results. So if you're looking forward to seeing that, then hit thumbs up down below and subscribe for a notification when it comes out. In terms of video, we still get 4K 60, which is great, and the quality is top notch. Some of the best 4K we're seeing in a phone, especially for a 400 quid phone. Stabilization is very good. I do miss the ultra wide though. Portrait mode is still here and works flawlessly on both the back camera and the front camera, but unfortunately limited to people as this phone doesn't use portrait mode on objects. And talking about that front camera, there's no Face ID here, but they have brought back the Touch ID, which personally I prefer, but I don't understand if they're going to keep these huge bezels, then why can't they just put a Face ID sensor in there to give people the option. I'll be speaking in more depth about the cameras in my full review, which will be coming out in a week or two's time. But in the meantime, you'll see my comparison between the iPhone SE camera and the Samsung S20 camera. The main selling point of this phone though is the A13 Bionic chip, which has come straight from the iPhone 11, and it makes this phone run snappy as hell. It also helps process those images from perhaps an old camera module, which is what makes them so good. And iOS 13 runs smoothly on it, and you can probably expect it to run smoothly on it for the next couple of years. But in a couple of years' time, will this phone still be good value? Here in the UK at least, phone contracts last about 2 years. And so most people that buy new phones always try and find the latest model. Not necessarily the latest flagship, but maybe the latest mid-range model. And so after that 2 years, the phone is only just sort of getting dated. But in 2020, brand new, this phone already has a 3 to 4 year old design with those huge bezels. It already has a lack of camera options, and it already has a 60Hz screen, which in 2 years' time, or maybe 1 year's time, is going to be not acceptable in a new phone. So right now in 2020, who is this phone for? Well, if we look at the competition in Android, we do have a lot of around $400 options, which all have their advantages. The Pixel 3a has an awesome camera, but maybe not the best performance for 2020. Samsung has the Galaxy A range, which is not talked about nearly enough. And at the moment they have the A71 going for cheaper than the iPhone SE. It comes in with a bezel-less AMOLED screen, it comes in with 4500 mAh battery, and it comes in with 4 cameras on the back. But is that Snapdragon 730 processor going to last the whole 2 years? Only time will tell. And if you're looking for a good high refresh rate screen, there are also cheaper phones from Realme. So where does the iPhone SE 2020 fit in? Well, it's an iPhone. Until now, the only way to get into the iPhone space as a consumer looking for a mid-range phone was to perhaps buy an older model. And the disadvantage of this is it might not last the test of time. And this is where the iPhone SE comes in. It sits at that mid-range price, and it's for people who want an iPhone but don't care about bezel-less displays or multiple cameras or Face ID or things like in-display fingerprint scanners. So now the buyers who would have perhaps gone out and bought an Android phone because it's cheaper and they couldn't afford an iPhone, even though they perhaps wanted one, have got an option. And that's what's going to make this phone fly off the shelves. So don't forget I have a full review coming up in a week or two's time, as well as a bit of fun comparison between the iPhone SE camera and the camera on the Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus. So that's a $400 phone versus a $1,000 phone camera test. But I think you might be surprised at the results. So if you're looking forward to seeing either of those, then give me a thumbs up down below and subscribe to be notified when they come out. That's it from me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.